Welcome to Basics Boardsmanship. As a member of the PTA Executive Board, you are in the right place because this training is for everyone. All PTA leaders, regardless of their title, are part of the Executive Board. This training will cover the basic concepts all Executive Board members should understand to serve effectively. Some PTA leaders will need to follow up this training with position-specific training that has also been provided by Texas PTA. Position trainings are offered for president, treasurer, secretary, advocacy, parliamentarian, membership, communication, programs, volunteers, and fundraising. Check out www.txpta.org/PA-training to learn more about these training opportunities. Before we get started, I have to let you know that while much of what we discussed today is really important, there is so much more within the Boardsmanship Resource Guide. The presentation today will follow along with the guide, so this is an excellent time to go grab it so you can make notes and see the additional details that are included. PTA has remained focused on our vision and mission for over 125 years. The vision or our dream is that every child's potential is a reality. The mission explains how we accomplish our collective vision. That mission is to make every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children. These are words every student, parent, teacher, and community member should be able to support. All Executive Board members must subscribe to, believe in, and support the mission and vision of PTA, in addition to the purposes and values mentioned on the next two slides. The common bond among all PTAs can be found in our purposes. These PTA purposes help guide us in our work at all levels of the association. Your programs and activities should always be aligned with these purposes. As a national and statewide organization, PTA values collaboration. We will work in partnership with a wide array of individuals and organizations to broaden and enhance our ability to serve and advocate for all children and families. Our values include commitment. We are dedicated to children's educational success, health, and well-being through strong family and community engagement, while remaining accountable to the principles upon which our association was founded. PTA also values diversity. We acknowledge the potential of everyone without regard, including but not limited to age, culture, economic status, educational background, ethnicity, gender, geographic location, legal status, marital status, mental ability, national origin, organizational position, parental status, physical ability, political philosophy, race, religion, sexual orientation, and work experience. PTA strives to respect everyone. We value the individual contributions of members, employees, volunteers, and partners as we work collaboratively to achieve our association's goals. Lastly, PTA values accountability. All members, employees, volunteers, and partners have a shared responsibility to align their efforts toward the achievement of our association's strategic initiatives. PTA observes the national standards for family-school partnerships. All PTAs should be a place that welcomes all families into the school community, communicates effectively, supports student success, speaks up for every child, shares power, and collaborates with the community. Implementing these 6 standards will foster positive family engagement at your campus. Texas PTA identified a set of competencies, skills, and abilities that are often demonstrated by effective leaders during the 2018-2020 term. Current and potential leaders can use this list of skills and abilities to develop their leadership potential. In addition, local and council PTA nominating committees may use the list as a guide as they recruit and nominate effective leaders. These competencies also drive our Full Circle Leadership Development Program. This list is by no means exhaustive of all of the skills and abilities an effective leader may hold. Rather, it is representative of the qualities PTA leaders demonstrate in the work they do to make every child's potential a reality. Let's look at the standards of continuing affiliation. Every local PTA Executive Board member should be familiar with these standards. The standards delineate all of the essential requirements PTAs must maintain in order to reap the many benefits of being a part of Texas PTA. These standards can be found in full toward the beginning of every resource guide. The first thing to note is that our membership year begins on August 1st. To achieve active status, Send or upload to Texas PTA state and national dues for at least 20 members. Submit to Texas PTA the name and contact information of at least one current executive board member. To achieve good standing, first, attain active status. Continue to report all members and send dues to Texas PTA. Submit contact information for each executive board member to Texas PTA through the executive board submission form. Review your local PTA bylaws and standing rules every 3 years and submit to Texas PTA for approval. And especially important, each year, ensure that within 60 days of the end of the fiscal year, electronically file and have accepted by the IRS the appropriate Form 990 Return of Organization Exempt from Income Tax form. The duties of local and council PTA executive board members are listed in your PTA bylaws. All nonprofit executive boards are required by law to act as fiduciaries for their associations. That fiduciary duty requires executive board members to stay objective, unselfish, responsible, honest, trustworthy, and efficient. The responsibility of this duty falls to executive board members because they have been given an amount of public trust from our members. They must always act for the good of the organization rather than for the benefit of themselves. They need to use reasonable care in all decision-making without placing the association under unnecessary risk. The fiduciary responsibilities or duties of trust are broken down into 3 categories. Duty of care. Actively participate in the management of the association. Duty of loyalty. Give undivided loyalty to the association. All decisions must promote the association's mission, vision, purposes, and values. Duty of obedience. Follow governing documents and comply with state and federal laws related to nonprofit associations. The bylaws template further categorizes the duties of the executive board within each category. The duty of care requires each member to use the same care and concern for executive board responsibilities as any prudent and ordinary person would, including complete all components of Foundation's training and deliver proof of completion to Secretary within 30 days of election or appointment. Reimburse all Foundation's training-related expenses for each executive board member. Create standing and special committees. Submit and have approved written plans of work for all executive board members and committee chairs. Have a current copy of the PTA governing documents. Fill executive board vacancies. And deliver all official materials to your successor or the president no later than 15 days following the end of the term. Duty of care continues to be outlined in these activities. Transact necessary business in the intervals between membership meetings. Attend all meetings. Present an executive board report, financial report, and all other necessary reports at each regular membership meeting. The duty of loyalty requires each member to place the interests of this PTA above any other, including refrain from making any slanderous or defamatory statements that will, in all likelihood, result in harm to the PTA name or brand. Present publicly a united front on decisions made as an executive board. Maintain confidentiality. Do not communicate to school district personnel or media as representing this PTA unless authorized to do so by the president or executive board. The duty of obedience requires each member to adhere to the law and PTA's mission, purposes, and governing documents, including comply with the legal filing requirements of state and federal government agencies, annually review the records retention policy, annually review and have membership adopt the e-commerce policy and the social media guidelines unless these are covered in the PTA's standing rules. Annually sign the confidentiality, ethics, and conflict of interest agreement. Ensure an annual budget for the upcoming fiscal year is adopted by membership at the annual meeting. Abide by policies and procedures as set forth by Texas PTA. And perform duties outlined in the bylaws and governing documents and as assigned by the President. Texas PTA strongly encourages PTAs to obtain adequate insurance protection against liability and financial loss due to fraud, embezzlement, or dishonest acts. It is important, as an executive board member, that you know if your local PTA has insurance. Texas PTA negotiated a group discount with Association Insurance Management, AIM, to obtain insurance coverage at affordable prices. Similar coverage may be obtained from any insurance company, locally or otherwise. AIM offers several types of coverage, including event and general liability, directors and officers liability, embezzlement, and business personal property. PTAs may secure any combination of coverage at any time during the year. Additional information may be found at txpta.org/PTA-insurance, or if you would like to reach out to AIM, call them at 800-876-4044. We want to take a couple of minutes to talk about the structure of PTA. As a grassroots association, we gain strength from our numbers, our members. Whether we are on the Hill in Washington, D.C., at the Capitol in Austin, or before the Board of Trustees in your school district. In this diagram, our members are at the top because everything we do is with their approval. We invite anyone who believes in the mission, vision, and purposes of PTA to become a member. Members consist of parents, teachers, aunts, uncles, grandparents, business people, and students. In Texas, students of any age may join the PTA or PTSA. Truly, all are welcome. Membership begins at the local or campus level. Each local PTA is an individual nonprofit organization, self-governed under the direction of Texas PTA. In many school districts, the local PTAs have been grouped into a council PTA. Council PTAs can be limited to one school district or to multiple school districts. Either way, a council PTA is a piece of the support structure to help local PTAs be as effective as possible. The next level is the state PTA. In our case, it is Texas PTA. Local PTA leaders are connected to a Texas PTA assigned field service representative as their first line of support from the state PTA. Texas PTA also has a group of dedicated volunteers who serve on the Texas PTA Board of Directors, who are valuable resources as well. Lastly, we all funnel into the national PTA. All levels of PTA work together with one voice for all children and youth. Our structure connects us, campus to campus and state to state. It allows us to coordinate our efforts, share our successes, and learn from each other. The local PTA is the focus of all PTA efforts. While a local PTA is usually organized in a school setting, it is independent of the school and the school district. Its work is determined by the needs of the community and the interest of the members. Individuals who want to participate in more than one local PTA must join each one separately, pay full dues to each, as each receives the benefits of being a PTA. All PTAs are 501c3 tax-exempt organizations. With that designation, all of our activities must be considered nonpartisan, non-sectarian, and non-commercial. But what does that actually mean? Nonpartisan is about being fair and impartial, not favoring one side over another. When something or someone is nonpartisan, they try to look at issues objectively and make decisions based on facts rather than political beliefs. Nonpartisan organizations or individuals don't take sides in political debates. Instead, they focus on what's best for everyone involved. Specifically, PTA takes a stand on issues and principles, not on candidates or political parties. Issues may become identified with partisan politics because of the differing approaches to the solution. Still, the basic principles involving the welfare of children and youth are matters of public concern and therefore PTA business. Nonpartisan activities include encouraging voter participation and educating voters, conducting or promoting voter registration, and educating candidates on issues. Nonsectarian is about being inclusive and not favoring one religion over another. When something is described as nonsectarian, it is open to people of all religions or beliefs without showing preference to any specific one. Specifically, PTA welcomes people representing a diversity of cultures, ethnic backgrounds, and political and religious beliefs into membership. Membership is open, without discrimination, to anyone who believes in and supports the mission and purposes of the National PTA. Non-commercial is about doing something without the intention of selling or promoting goods or services. Non-commercial activities are often done for other purposes, like education, personal enjoyment, or community benefit, rather than for making a profit. The name PTA, which is a registered service mark, or the names of its officers shall not be used in conjunction with the commercial activities of other organizations, including but not limited to the promotion of goods and services. This policy should be applied with judgment, discretion, and common sense, recognizing that it is not meant to prohibit all contact or cooperation with such groups. Before accepting donations of goods or services, A PTA association at any level should consider whether such acceptance might be construed as an endorsement of the provider. With this information in mind, PTA activities will often fall into one of three categories: advocacy, programs, and family engagement. Advocacy can entail supporting Texas and national PTA-adopted legislative initiatives, as well as local issues. Programs can include parent education, healthy lifestyles, and arts and education events. Family engagement can include events like a multicultural night, book fair, spring fling, and parent-child dance. Every executive board member should be knowledgeable about the PTA's financial responsibilities. What follows is basic financial information that every executive board member needs to be aware of. Fiduciary responsibility in a PTA, as it applies to the finances, means the executive board members act as trustees of the organization's assets and must exercise due diligence to oversee that the organization is well managed and that its financial situation remains sound. The executive board verifies that all filing requirements and tax obligations are completed. As an executive board member, you are likely involved in creating and managing a budget. Budgets and budget amendments must be adopted by the membership and should be based on executive board-approved plans of work. To keep people informed about these budgets, a current financial report is presented at every regular executive board and membership meeting. Dig into the basics, Boardsmanship or Treasurer Resource Guide, to learn more about the appropriate way to make payments and deposit funds throughout the year. The executive board plays a role in communicating the PTA story. Who we are, as demonstrated in our vision, mission, purposes, and values, and what we do, as evidenced through our history, efforts, and accomplishments, is the story only we can tell. In order to tell the story of PTA as a whole and what your local PTA is doing to advance the mission can be done through elevator speeches, a PTA-managed website, social media accounts, and so much more. Look around. There is always a way to communicate something just one more time. While getting the word out is crucial, we do need to keep a few rules in mind. First, PTA is non-commercial, non-sectarian, and non-partisan. We must always be respectful and positive in all of our communication. And lastly, we need to provide inclusive and accessible communication. The Boardsmanship Resource Guide contains many other great pieces of information, including a style guide from National PTA, a sample social media policy from Texas PTA, and many more important tidbits about how to effectively spread the word about PTA on your campus. Effective executive board members know that in addition to satisfying requirements detailed in the PTA's governing documents, particular skills are essential to a well-functioning executive board: a unified voice, collaboration, and relationship building. It is important to understand how the decisions and actions of individual executive board members reflect on the perception of the entire executive board by current and future PTA members, leaders, school staff, and the greater community. No matter the differences of opinion shared within the executive board meeting, the PTA executive board presents itself with a unified voice. Not doing so undermines any efforts to gain support for PTA events and programs, or to make a real difference in the school community. Collaboration is also key. It requires each executive board member to work in a complementary fashion, supporting all executive board members' work in PTA. Sharing the responsibility for all PTA actions, messaging, programs, and events is essential in projecting a positive opinion of PTA on your campus. The reputation earned by the PTA reflects on the entire executive board, not on specific individuals. Working together to ensure that each executive board member successfully executes their responsibility and participates in meetings establishes respect and support for PTA in your school community. Among many other important soft skills, a unified voice and collaboration are most often accomplished through positive relationship building. If there are good, strong, positive relationships between executive board members, school staff, the district, school families, and the greater community, the work of the PTA will be successful and fun. No matter what your role is on the PTA executive board, getting started on the right foot will allow you to feel confident in your position. The first thing to do is register as a PTA leader with Texas PTA. When Texas PTA knows that you are a leader on your campus, It can better support you with valuable communication and resources. Registration is easy and can be done from the Texas PTA website's homepage. Next, you will want to complete all of your required Texas PTA training. Obviously, you have gotten started on this journey because you are participating in the Boardsmanship training today. Don't forget that you might also need to complete Essentials as a brand new PTA leader, and that there also might be additional training created by Texas PTA specifically for your position. Those position trainings include President, Treasurer, Secretary, Advocacy, Parliamentarian, Membership, Communication, Programs, Volunteers, and Fundraising. There is also additional training for all of the principals too. Feeling confident in your role will happen more quickly if you've had a transition meeting with your predecessor so that you know what, how, and when they completed the expected activities of your new role. You'll also feel more confident if you have a copy of your PTA's bylaws and standing rules if applicable. The next few items, creating a plan of work, joining your PTA after August 1st, and marking your calendar for all of the membership and executive board meetings are important to supporting your fellow executive board members and completing your PTA's business. It is important to review all of the policies that are part of your PTA's governing documents to ensure that you understand how each policy impacts your role on the executive board. Next, as an executive board member, it is important to verify that key items were completed before starting the business of PTA for this fiscal year. Two critical pieces that need to be in place are a membership-approved budget and a completed financial reconciliation. The budget for this fiscal year should have been approved by the membership at the last membership meeting of the last fiscal year, also known as the annual meeting. The financial reconciliation is expected to be completed within 30 days of the end of the PTA's fiscal year, which would mean that it would be done during the summer months for most PTAs. As an executive board member, monitoring your PTA's completion of the standards of continuing affiliation will ensure that you are aware of when your PTA is considered in active or good standing status. Last but not least, it is important that you sign the Confidentiality, Ethics, and Conflict of Interest Agreement. This agreement should be provided to all executive board members at the first executive board meeting of the year by the secretary. Be sure to ask the secretary about it if you don't see it at that first meeting. All executive board members keep a procedure book, either in print or electronically, which contains all the materials important to the work of their office or committee. This procedure book is passed on to your successor or the president within 15 days of the successor assuming the position. Your procedure book should include a copy of your bylaws and standing rules, the current roster of your executive board and committee members, all items related to your position, plus meeting documents of both the executive board and your committee. Every executive board member completes a plan of work, as stated in the bylaws, which is approved by the executive board before any action is taken. This plan provides direction throughout the year and keeps you focused and on track. Additional items to be aware of while formulating your plan. State your goals. Include action steps for the chair and the entire committee. These action steps can follow a timeline or can be stated broadly. Establish deadlines according to any external timelines. Include a budget that includes your expected costs and income if applicable. Your members, those who have paid their annual dues, vote to support or not to support the recommendations of your local PTA executive board. You are part of the executive board, but do you know who else might be part of it? The local PTA executive board is defined in your PTA bylaws. The executive board includes officers, a president, one or more vice presidents, a secretary, and a treasurer. An additional required member of the executive board is the appointed parliamentarian. Standing committees. Chairs. Usually the chairs of the standing committees are members of the executive board. Since this is an option in your bylaws, check your PTA's bylaws for clarification. Other optional positions. You may have added other executive board positions, such as a faculty representative, a historian, one or more council delegates, and student representatives, principal or designee. The principal is automatically a member of the local PTA's executive board. However, the principal may choose to designate another faculty member to take his or her place on the executive board. Occasionally, the terms board and executive board are confused. Is there a difference? No, there is no difference. They are interchangeable terms. They mean the same thing. Each PTA has one governing board, with no subgroups, that can make decisions on behalf of the membership. A few other items to note. Executive board members serve no more than 2 consecutive terms in the same position. A term is considered 1 fiscal year. Executive board members shall serve in only 1 position at a time. Elected and appointed executive board positions may only be filled by 1 person. Co-chairs are prohibited. In addition to the executive board duties previously mentioned, you should also be aware of the timing of when executive board-specific activities should be happening throughout the year. Although these duties may not specifically relate to your position, it is important that you are aware of them. An even more detailed year at a glance can be found in the Basics Boardsmanship Resource Guide. Here are a few examples. Within 30 days of election, submit contact information to Texas PTA. The newly elected president calls an executive board meeting. During the summer, complete training requirements. Become a member. Create a plan of work. Sign the confidentiality, ethics, and conflict of interest agreement. During the fall semester, the first membership meeting is held. State and national portions of membership dues are submitted to Texas PTA. The National PTA Reflections program begins. During the spring semester, sales tax returns are due, nominating committee elections are held. The election of the officers for the next school year occurs. As we continue to examine the role of an executive board member throughout the PTA year, here are just a few more quick start action items for you to intentionally pursue so that you can have the best year possible. First, check in with the person in your role last year. It is incredibly important to obtain all of the documentation for the planning and execution of your position's role. The procedure book or manual may be on paper or in a digital format, such as on a USB or Google Drive. Previously, jobs and tasks for all executive board members were broken down by times within the school calendar year. There are a few tasks that should be done every month by all executive board members. One of the most crucial items, as previously mentioned, is to attend all scheduled and special meetings of the membership and executive board. Your presence helps to ensure that quorum will be met, and business can be conducted by the PTA during these meetings. In addition, executive board members need to review all of the financial and meeting minute reports presented each month for clarity and accuracy. PTA is governed by 3 main documents. Let's review them. Bylaws are the document adopted by an organization which contains the basic rules for governing that organization. They are always superior to and supersede the standing rules and parliamentary authority. Always look first in your PTA's bylaws for an answer to any question, then to your standing rules, if adopted, any adopted policies, and finally in Robert's Rules of Order, newly revised. Texas PTA provides the required bylaws template for all local PTAs. Only information specific to your local PTA can be changed. The bylaws may be amended at a meeting of the membership with 30 days' notice. Any changes go into effect only after approval, first by the members and finally by Texas PTA. And bylaws cannot be suspended. Standing rules are rules that relate to details of administration of a group rather than to parliamentary procedure. Standing rules cannot conflict with or duplicate the bylaws. Standing rules may be required in certain circumstances, such as when a local PTA provides scholarships, hosts a special event, or adds additional members to the executive board, and they generally describe chair and other unique duties not covered in the bylaws. Standing rules are generally adopted for the first time when a need arises and can be amended at a meeting of the membership with or without notice. Like the bylaws, the standing rules must be approved by Texas PTA before taking effect. Unlike bylaws, standing rules may be suspended for the duration of a current session, a specified period of time, by a majority vote. Lastly, we have the standards of continuing affiliation. Texas PTA establishes minimum requirements for PTAs to continue operating under the PTA brand via the Standards of Continuing Affiliation. These standards set basic criteria for PTAs to attain active status annually and to remain in good standing with the association. All business of the PTA is directed by its members, including electing the officers of the PTA, electing or approving key committees, adopting the fiscal year budget, and approving all changes to the budget, whether for income or expenses. Membership in PTA is available to all of those who support the vision, mission, and purposes of the PTA. An individual becomes a member of the PTA, local, state, and national, through payment of annual dues to the local campus, including local, state, and national dues. Robert's Rules, which is the PTA adopted source for parliamentary procedure, indicates that quorum needs to be established prior to business of the PTA being conducted. Quorum is the minimum number of individuals who are expected to attend, no matter what the conditions may be. The lowest this number may be is 10. However, each local PTA may determine their acceptable lowest threshold as long as it is greater than or equal to 10. Occasionally, PTA business needs to be discussed between regularly scheduled monthly membership meetings as outlined in the bylaws. These meetings are called special meetings and must have a minimum of 3 days' notice with the necessary business clearly defined. No additional business may be discussed other than what was announced. During all types of meetings, PTA leaders have specific roles and responsibilities to fulfill. The president, the chair of the meeting, is given the responsibility to run the meeting fairly and accurately. The secretary creates the official record of the actions taken during the meeting. The treasurer must make verbal and written financial reports, and the parliamentarian provides consultation to all PTA leaders and members regarding appropriate parliamentary procedures. Other officers and chairs make reports to the membership as needed to maintain full transparency of all PTA actions. Committees are critical to the success of PTA and are one of our best methods to recruit new volunteers. They provide an opportunity for individuals to do the kind of work for which they are especially suited. Members develop a sense of worth and personal satisfaction as they contribute to the total work of the PTA. Committee chairs are responsible for appointing their committee members with the approval of the executive board. Your standing rules may specify your committee size, but generally, committees should be small enough to allow for efficiency and flexibility and large enough to complete the task. Let's review a committee's responsibilities. A committee only has the authority that it is specifically given. Committees do not function as separate groups but are part of the PTA. Committees make recommendations, not decisions. All projects and activities must have the approval of the executive board and the PTA in advance. Committee meetings should only be scheduled when necessary. An agenda should be sent prior to the meeting, preferably a few days in advance. Every attempt should be made to begin and end each meeting on time. Committee meetings, like membership and executive board meetings, should be facilitated by the chair, not dictated. Everyone is included through discussion and delegation. All members should be positive, and the chair should remain impartial. Don't forget that your committee will be made up of volunteers with varying degrees of experience and confidence. Be sure to make all members feel welcome and valued in the committee. Virtual meetings have been shown to be a viable way to conduct the business of PTA, and therefore will now be an allowable tool for membership and executive board meetings. However, we know that there is something special that happens when people come together in person. So, Texas PTA is requiring that at least 2 of your membership and at least 2 of your executive board meetings are held in person. Both groups will benefit from starting off with a traditional in-person meeting. The second required in-person meeting for the membership is for the bylaw-designated election month's meeting. The executive board may pick any additional meeting to be in person to fulfill the 2 in-person meeting requirement. One other thing to note is that no matter the design, no one may attend an in-person meeting through digital or virtual access, including all Zoom-type resources or live streaming. Groups meet all of the time, and in the PTA world, we meet fairly regularly. but with a very specific purpose in mind: to conduct the business of PTA. In a PTA membership meeting or executive board meeting, PTA business is conducted through a series of motions, as prescribed by Robert's Rules. The use of motions in parliamentary procedure, i.e. Robert's Rules, provides for meetings to be conducted fairly, allowing for anyone interested to have a chance to be heard. It is important, as a member of the executive board, to understand the process of making motions, including who is exempt from participating. The chair of the meeting must always remain impartial, and therefore cannot make motions. The president would typically hold the role of the chair, and therefore is exempt. In addition, the parliamentarian is in the role of a consultant and should also stay impartial throughout the meeting proceedings. Proper decorum and respect require for a person to be recognized by the chair to make a motion, and then all of the remaining parts of the process are overseen by the chair, including calling the vote and declaring the result. Decisions are made in PTA by calling the question, otherwise known as voting. According to the bylaws and parliamentary procedures, votes are sometimes required to be of a specific type: majority, two-thirds, or plurality. Also, bylaws and parliamentary procedure determine if a specific style of vote is required. Most of the time, voice vote is used until it is either too difficult to determine the results or it is requested by a member to be conducted in a particular way. In all styles of votes other than by ballot, the president and parliamentarian do not participate. Texas PTA required training includes: Essentials is a high-level orientation to PTA, taken online via the Texas PTA website. It contains the mainstay information that every PTA leader should know. Executive board members should take this training at least once in their PTA career. Leaders are encouraged to take Essentials, formerly Foundations Leader Orientation, FLO, and Leadership Orientation training, again whenever the training is updated. Basics courses contain detailed information to support PTA leaders in their executive board position. Every executive board member must attend a basics course for their position at least once every 2 years. These training sessions are available on demand at www.txpta.org/courses. Basics content includes an online training video, a companion resource guide, and other supporting resources. PTA leaders can access the resource guides, quick start guides, and position resources via the Texas PTA website. Visit txpta.org/local-PTA leaders for the latest information. Executive board members are required to take both Essentials and Basics courses. The graphic on the screen explains the path to ensuring that all required training has been completed. The graphic is also available online at txpta.org/PTA-training. It is important to note that while the online course is the required piece of training that is tracked by each PTA's secretary, the online training does not cover all of the nuances of each PTA position. The training continues through the use of the resource guides that have been created for each position. To be as effective of a PTA leader as possible, it is important to access all types of training for your position. Spotlight courses offer short, in-depth reviews of important topics and recurring PTA functions, such as bylaws and standing rules, financial reconciliations, and nominations and elections. Spotlights are free and optional, but offer vital insights on specific and timely topics. Additional free and optional resources include our leadership development duo of Extra Credit and Full Circle Leadership. Extra Credit sessions are quick leadership development off the shelf, courses available to you when you need them. Each session offers tips and tricks for all of our PTA leaders to add to their toolkits. Full Circle Leadership is Texas PTA's very own leadership development certification program. Looking at the mission, vision, and values of PTA from all angles, the portrait of a PTA leader was born. By focusing on the 5 key areas of technical, intrapersonal, forward-thinking, interpersonal, and adaptive skills, Texas PTA leaders are able to enhance their skills to become even more successful and effective. Texas PTA provides content-specific newsletters based on your PTA position. Registering as an executive board member with Texas PTA each year helps ensure you receive important updates and position-specific newsletters. All executive board members are encouraged to closely follow Texas PTA legislative advocacy efforts by subscribing to Under the Dome, our advocacy newsletter, at txpta.org/newsroom. You can sign up for Advocacy Action Alerts at xpta.org/takeaction and stay on the lookout for pop-up training webinars and learning labs. Your council PTA and field service representative are excellent resources that are convenient for you. Texas PTA's staff and board of directors are also here to answer any of your questions. Their toll-free number is 1-800-TALK-PTA. The Texas PTA Boardsmanship webpage contains many useful resources that are available to all PTA members. You can reach the Texas PTA Vice President Leadership at vpl@txpta.org. In addition to the Texas PTA's website, the National PTA's website, PTDUT, is a valuable resource. Thank you for attending Texas PTA Basics Boardsmanship. We hope you have a great year and appreciate you stepping up to serve your PTA.